What's up, guys? So, tonight I have decided to do one of my late night clandestine streams because if I don't do it now, I just don't think that I will ever get around to it, unfortunately. Anyways, so as I lay here in the dark, I had a weird thought, and it is actually a thought that comes up on occasion, particularly when I'm driving and I'm thinking about, okay, I gotta go to place A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever, to spend money. And of course, when you spend money, you are hoping that you spend it in a successful way. But sometimes stuff happens and it doesn't really turn out the way that you were anticipating. So I was thinking, how much money have I wasted, whether it was accidental, willingly, or unwillingly? And the first thing that I can think of that I constantly think about is how much gas I have wasted from being a jackrabbit sometimes, but other times it's when I am running late to work and I may be speeding a little bit, driving a little bit faster than normal. It's like, yeah, that is money that I am losing because I am consuming much more gasoline than I would be spending if I were not running late and therefore taking the highway or something like that. That is one that really, really, really plagues me. Another thing that I can think of, and this is my favorite one, and I call it favorite because it is the one that I wish I could do more about, but I'm just lazy. And that is, you guys know, anytime you eat or drink something and there is residue left behind in the container, imagine if all of the residue left behind could be scooped out and accumulated in a brand new container. You would be able to see over the years how much product you have actually missed out on that you paid for because stuff stays stuck to the walls of the container or the bottom of the container, especially something that is sticky, something that is viscous. Even if you leave the jar upside down, it doesn't mean that all the sediment or all the material is going to go to the bottom. So anytime I eat a container of yogurt or I drink chocolate milk, I do my very best to try to get to everything that's in the container, all the residue, even like swipe my finger across it just to make sure that I'm getting through everything. But I wish that there was a way that I could measure that. How much residue I leave behind in a container, and therefore, at some point, that may create a container, or at least half a container, and I would be able to see how much money I'm wasting from everything that's left behind in a stupid container. Another thing that comes to mind that this particularly bugs me so much because it happens to me more than I feel comfortable with, and that is those times I leave my light or fan on in my room while I was away from home, or if I'm in another room and I exit out of it and I forget the fan is on. I just get annoyed because I'm like, man, when you turn on a fan, it's not like it's cooling down a place. All it's doing is moving air to sort of refresh you. So I just feel stupid that I leave a fan running by accident and I'm just burning through cash by leaving it on. So same thing with a light. Why would you leave a light on in a room that's not being occupied? Some people might say, oh, well, for security reasons, it's good to have a well lit place. But in the grand scheme of things, you are usually more safe than not. So that is a waste, actually. So I wish that all of those times that I tripped and became negligent with turning off things after myself, how much money have I spent? Just like one time I saw a post about, imagine the better choices that people might make when it comes to their health if they could see their health bar going down or something, like in video games. Say every time you smoke cigarettes and it affects your lungs, this is how much health you're losing. Or if you go many months without exercising and you're gaining weight and your, I don't know, your glucose levels are not being controlled, all that good stuff. Maybe people would make better decisions just to make sure that their health bar does not go down. But there's also the people that maybe, let's blame social media for everything, right? Maybe because of social media, they may consider doing very harmful things just to demonstrate how bad some stuff is. And some people just like to make themselves seem cool and appealing by doing dangerous stuff. So maybe there's going to be that one random person who's going to deliberately put together as many damaging and harmful things as possible just to demonstrate something, just to demonstrate that they are tough like that and that they don't care to see their health go down so drastically. I know I would not do it. Also, the pens that I have lost and the people who did not return any pens that I lent to me. How much money have I wasted? How many packs worth of pens have I lost during the course of the years because of those two reasons? I'm pretty sure that I have lost more to giving them to people than me losing them myself, but I'm that one person who, if I am using a black ink pen, I do not use another black ink pen until that one runs out. Same thing with erasers, like the individual erasers. Until I wear that mug out, I'm not getting a new one. But unfortunately for me, I have always lost all of my erasers before I could get to the very end of it. So I just want to know how much money I have wasted not being able to finish erasers because I kept losing them. In addition, this one is kind of a gross one, but I often wonder how much money I lose from having to eat again because I threw up or something I ate did not sit too well on me. So I had to compensate for that loss by eating again. That is definitely wasteful right there. And also, any vitamins that fell on the floor and I had to throw it away. I always wonder about that. I'm that one person who does not take any chances trying to eat something that fell off, something that fell on the floor. So I used to take omega-3 supplements, and because they are kind of like, what the hell are they? They're kind of like gel. They will collect dirt really easily. Like if they fall on the floor, you can just see that any dirt on the floor just got stuck to them. So I never even tried to rinse that stuff or anything that falls on the floor for that matter. I used to be that one kid who, if food fell on the floor and it was rinsable, I would try to, rinse it and eat it. But there's no way that I do that as an adult now that I understand about food safety and bacteria and all that bad stuff. So, all of those supplements that are expensive that have fallen on the floor and I have decided to throw away, how many containers worth have I lost over that? Because let me tell you, I don't know what the hell goes on in my hands, but I always drop those things on the floor. At least every every 4 times that I go take a supplement, I drop one capsule or one gel or something on the floor. So I am pretty sure that I have lost a lot of money when it comes to that. And that's pretty much it, guys, that I can think of when it comes to this matter. So I'm gonna catch up with what you guys are saying in the comments. Alejandro says, interesting topic. Holger says, hi, Zam. Hello. What about politicians, Congress spending on useless resources where us, the citizens, pay a high amount of taxes, which of the time goes to waste? That is so true. I like to dwell on the matter of their luxurious lifestyles that are not necessary for them to be able to carry out their functions as political figures. I'm thinking, imagine if you took all of those resources collectively and actually applied them to something that would benefit the common man or woman. Imagine how many people could probably get access to, I don't know, doctors if you did not use those resources so stupidly. And on top of that, when it comes to being a worker, people's time costs money. So I find that I don't know if it's the culture of this country or if this is a global issue, but we waste so much time as opposed to being productive that all the money that goes wasted because of a decline in productivity due to wasted time, ranging from either socializing or being distracted. What would happen if all that money could be saved and put into something? Pretty sure that something amazing would come out of it. Certain food you can clean if you drop it. Any form of entertainment is technically wasteful. You know what? I agree with that. Because anytime there's a controversy that emerges because of a movie, like all the SJW stuff that surrounds superhero movies and representation and all that, I'm like, all these people who go to social media and put so much effort into expressing their disdain for some stuff, if you put that same amount of energy and desire and passion into something that's actually useful, maybe you would be good at your career. Maybe you would be good at being a student and stuff like that. So you would be good at your jobs as well. But you put so much energy into stuff that's, in the grand scheme of things, petty, and then you wonder why you're not really progressing. I think that's crazy. Like, I think that there are matters that are important and we're not paying attention to them. We're not discussing them with the same energy and enthusiasm as these little so called issues, political issues that we come up with coming from movies. I don't have time to discuss works of fiction like that. I am grateful for them because it is great to be able to maybe spend some time during the weekend to go to a movie theater and indulge in a movie that will help me escape from my stresses and all that stuff about my life. But there's people who rely on that too much. And I think that at some point, you have to be able to admit that you're wasting too much time and that you have to sacrifice the stuff that you enjoy just for a little while, just to make sure that you are taking care of the stuff that's actually important, that's going to help you fulfill your goals and lead you to having a more comfortable life. But at the same time, I don't want to be too harsh about this because I personally have been a victim of it myself. I would rather be doing something that's distracting and fun and entertaining because I'm in so much pain, I'm exhausted, I'm all kinds of just mentally challenged. So I'm thinking, you know what? Just indulging on the stuff I enjoy for a little bit without feeling guilty about it can be a good thing. But unfortunately, some of us do not have a discipline as to when to determine that you've been doing that for too long and it is beginning to interfere in your life and the progress of your life. So, yeah, that one is kind of tricky for me, but I just like to live a life of balance, even though it's not always easy. You should be an instructor of philosophy of reality in an Ivy League school. You know what? I always feel like a fraud anytime someone says something like that because I just feel like I'm not all that, but I take that as a big compliment. So I'm glad that you see where I'm coming from. So I appreciate the kindness. Zamri's live chats are entertaining but not wasteful. I'm glad that you guys consider this not wasteful and even entertaining at times. I'm definitely not the funniest person in the world, but I just like to think, even when I'm busy, I'm spending time thinking, and even if I'm in a group of people, I'm still thinking. I may observe something, and it triggers a stream of thoughts, and I find that to me that's more exciting as a means of escapism than actually resorting to entertainment mediums that we tend to go for, like music or movies and stuff like that, or even reading. I like to see what I can come up with independently with my own thoughts. And something about that is just fascinating and intriguing for me, and I can do it for hours. And there comes a point in which I get stuck, and I'm like, you know what? What does someone else have to say about the stuff I'm thinking about? I feel like we don't share our thoughts very often, and everyone has something so great to contribute, but we just don't know it yet. So I tried to come up with as many topics as possible of stuff that I've thought about or wondered about and just put them here and see what people from all spectrums in life have to say about it, because I know that I have severe limitations on a lot of topics. So this is just a great opportunity for me to learn as well. Otherwise, I wouldn't feel as motivated about it. Not even gonna lie. Hello, hope you had a good fourth. Yeah, it was busy, of course, and noisy, but at the same time, some clouds started rolling in, and there was a little bit of thunder and lightning. No rain for now, so that was exciting, but that didn't stop anybody from doing their stuff. You know what I'm saying? But but yeah, it didn't do anything. I don't like to be out. The streets seem to be pretty dead, actually, especially at 5 o'clock, like on my way home. I did not run into any traffic whatsoever. So I guess people either did their shopping earlier, or there's just a lot of federal workers out there, or just a lot of businesses who just said, we're gonna close. But the road was pretty clear for me. And I live in let's say, a medium sized city. So I enjoyed that very much. It was almost like a snow day where there's only like 5 people on the road, it seems. How do you feel about hypergamy? Do you think it's real? Um, shoot. What is hypergamy again? That kind of caught me off guard. um, let's see. I'm gonna look up an official definition just because I don't want to sit here. It's a term used in social what? Okay. social science, personal management, how you cast social science. Okay, I thought that's what it meant. Basically, when it comes to someone marrying a higher status than yourself, I individually do not pay attention to that when it comes to me looking for someone. But to be real, to be fair, I think that as someone who hasn't had that to worry about in her life, like I don't come from a social status that's like way up there, I feel like I don't have an image to protect, and I am not seeking an image like that. So I do not feel like I'm looking to marry just to improve my social conditions. If I am getting married, it's because of the basic things. I would like to have a family. I would like to build something with someone. But I honestly do not care for marrying someone who's a higher status from me. I think I would be pretty uncomfortable in that type of situation because I can just tell that's not my kind of world, especially if there's a lot of protocol to follow. So if I can stay away from that, good, but I cannot ensure that that's something I can control. Um, but I do think that it is a very real thing. People, there's some people who look for that, and there's people who were not looking for that, but they find someone who puts them in that situation and they end up having to reconsider some things. So I don't want to say that it's a bad thing, but if you look for a partner looking to marry up the social ladder and shit goes wrong, I think you established what your values are. So if your marriage ends up going to hell, do not expect to receive sympathy from me if you establish that as your value. Like, if you were just desperate to change your social status and get ahead of the game by means of privilege because you're paired up with the right person, then if shit goes wrong, you do not have my sympathy. I'm just saying. So, it is a real thing. People engage in that, and I'm just saying that I personally, that's not the way I treat relationships. So, can't do it. If you don't mind me asking, what are your thoughts on politics? Do you mean politics in the United States, politics in general, or do you want to know if I am actually politically oriented in anything? I honestly don't feel like I'm super well informed on any matter pertaining to politics, but if you ask me about something and I know a little bit about it, I can tell you how I feel about certain things. But politics is such a broad thing that I don't want to just spit out an answer and not address you properly. So let me know what part of politics you're curious about knowing. But in general, politics, they are important in life. I acknowledge that. I am not as good at them as I would like to be, but little by little, I try to set aside a couple of minutes in my day to read up on something. It doesn't matter what it is, just read up on something. Hello, Jordan. Both sides of politics, left and right, just want you to be the ones to drain taxpayers. Zermo, when people spending on big weddings, in one day, 2 years later, couple divorce, after all that, money wasted. Money goes wasted. Yeah, that's so true as well. For me, if I ever get married, there's not going to be a huge wedding. Because for me, I'm more excited about what it means to be getting married than the celebration of tying that so called knot. Like, I would be perfectly happy just showing up to the place and signing my paper and going home. So I'm just a person who, the more private my personal matters remain, the happier I am. And I feel like a wedding is a social event more to showcase how willing to go in debt I am if I'm not rich, or B, um, it's like a show for society. And I feel like, as someone who has never been very wild about parties, I don't see how a wedding celebration would make me feel any different. So, um, there's no way that I'm going to have a big wedding. Just no, no. Women with Asperger's don't tend to be hypergamous. You just insist on thinking that I have that, but be my guest. Happy Friday, Zamri. Oh, yeah, it is past midnight. Holy crap. It would be almost impossible for me to be hypergamous as I have royal blood. Fantastic. Money is about what you need, not what you want. When people want to buy anything they can, that's wasting money. Yeah, honestly, for me, I think about when I was young and I wanted so much stuff. I wanted to have pretty much all of the games I ever dreamed of having, for the PS2 and the N64. And now I see all these new consoles. And I'm like, holy crap, there's just more to life than those little games I grew up playing, right? But back then, I didn't have any understanding about capitalism to know that this is what was going to happen, that stuff was going to change. Computers were going to evolve, and phones were going to evolve, and consoles were going to evolve. But honestly, I think that when it comes to money, I'm more concerned about saving it and investing it, along with spending it wisely, which would be uh, to fulfill my necessities. Nothing makes me more peaceful than knowing that I live with exactly what I need and I don't need to be sweating over what I have or don't have. There's people who have so much stuff, and then let's say that you have to move to another state. You end up getting rid of that stuff or passing it to people like my brother. When he moved out after finishing high school, he left me with so much of his, let's call it, trash. And then now, years later, he was asking me, hey, what stuff of mine did you actually keep? And I was able to show him pretty much everything. And he was like, oh, holy crap, this and that. And he was excited. I was glad that I could make him happy that he was seeing his old stuff back. But I thought, this is cluttering my life so much. I want to get rid of it. So do something about it. If you cannot keep up with your stuff now, it's gone forever, because I got stuff that I want to keep up with, and it's my personal stuff. So I shouldn't have to be your personal living, moving storage facility. um, so honestly, when it comes to everything I have, which is pretty much here in my room, I am trying to get rid of so much stuff. Anything that I haven't used in the past 2 years, I've been getting rid of it. Especially with clothes. I had no idea how much clothes I had, and I somehow end up wearing the same stuff. So I'm trying to adopt more of a minimalist kind of mindset, but there's some stuff that I'm always going to be terrible at, such as leggings. Let's see. What's your view on the elections? Oh, speaking of elections, you just reminded me that I've been meaning to catch up with these so called debates or whatever that have been going on to determine the candidates for the next elections. But I personally think that the elections, as I have known them, have never had satisfactory results for me because they really don't tend to represent my interests. So I have been consistently disappointed in the outcomes, but I still do my part in participating just so that I can feel like at least I contributed at expressing my opinion on who I think our leader should be and why. But again, nobody out there represents me like I need to be represented or like I want to be represented. So, sure, Zam, go ahead and get a career in politics, right? No, because I don't want for that to be my responsibility. So it's difficult because I don't have a mindset where I feel like I can really change things. It's not something that I aspire to. So therefore I have no plan whatsoever. Just like the other day, someone asked me if I have ever made any long-term plans of anything and I said no. So if I am not a very good planner for long-term things, I do not belong in a position of power, making decisions, trying to be a leader for a population. You know what I mean? So I would rather not mess with that and just hope that eventually someone can fill the position adequately. It's like management. We all have complaints about all of the managers we have had at some point in our lives. They do the very best they can. They follow their judgment. They do what they think is best. Although, us as outsiders, we can see things that they could be doing better, that could be a whole lot better, but their hands may be tied because of other factors that we are unaware of. So I don't want to be that person who's always shitting on politicians, but unfortunately, there is a pattern, and they all seem to be lacking in departments that I consider to be essential. Hopefully, that answered your question. Uh, how are you doing, Zambri? Not too bad. I have been surprisingly not as tired as I usually am. Hopefully, that means that I am recovering from all of the stuff that was affecting me. But yeah, it's been quite an eventful week, but I'm still in the middle of processing it. Let's see. The hypergamous instinct is strong after having a child. Of course, because if you have a child when you don't have your resources together, you are finding yourself desperate to catch, say, in in the cases of women, it's like I did not make a plan to wait until I had my finances resolved. I did not want to believe that having a child is expensive, so therefore let me find me a man to solve my problems, especially if you end up being a single mother. Or sometimes some people end up having children just so that they feel like they can trap a man. And I think that that is absolutely wrong. So anytime relationships like that don't end well, I cannot feel sympathy for either party because they both made a poor decision. And I'm someone who likes to make life not overly complicated for me. So that's why I'm saying kids can wait, especially when my current situation is not stable. But just because my current situation is not stable, I am not thinking about, oh, let me see if I can fish a good mate for me so that he can solve all of my problems, right? No, because then I would be the loser. I would be losing my peace, and I am not that kind of person. I just ain't. It doesn't mean that I think that people from who are in a higher social status from me are out of my reach or I'm undeserving of them. It's just that I am not going to try to force myself into a situation that I don't belong in. To me, it matters a lot who I get involved with. So I'm not going to get involved with someone just to resolve some temporary situations that I have right now when it comes to finances. I'm not afraid of struggling for many years of my life if it means that eventually I'll get somewhere and I'll be peaceful all by myself. I'll go on to live a better life because of my effort, as opposed to someone made it easy for me to get that kind of life. Having a partner is beneficial. It can make you achieve things faster because four hands are better than two. I'm not going to deny that, but I'm just saying that if I can independently put myself in a good situation, I am more likely to be a better fit and supportive partner. Doesn't matter who I get involved with. And that is my personal goal. Um, let's see, where am I at? You just need enough money to live the lifestyle you enjoy. If money was the key to happiness, the rich people wouldn't off themselves. That's true. And although I had known that since I was very young, when you grow up and you have all these responsibilities like bills and keeping a good credit and yada yada yada, it just hits you how the fewer things that you have to be held accountable for, you just feel more peaceful about it. So that's how I want to be. I always want to have money to be comfortable in case of emergencies and get by without struggling, and occasionally, give myself a few pleasures like going to see movies or going out of town or eating at a new place, stuff like that, experimenting. Because you have to keep yourself entertained somehow, or else you'll go crazy. Oh, Zerm, I can see you, but it's all right. I got you on my mind, wonderful friend. Yeah, sometimes I just do not feel like sitting or having brightness, so I just set my brightness as low as possible on the phone and I just chill here staring at the roof. Keep being strong, build the wall. The instinct is still strong even if her partner maintains a good salary. Low fertility rate is my biggest concern. Yeah, I love the self sustainable lifestyle. Now that you mentioned fertility, I think it's crazy how. See, okay, I was going to make a separate stream about this, but I'm gonna go ahead and throw it here. The other day, I had a thought about just how many people I keep hearing expressing, oh, my kids have so many allergies. My kids have so many issues like gluten intolerance or gluten allergies, all that stuff. Is that stuff being diagnosed now at a higher rate because we know how to recognize those symptoms? Or is it something in the environment that's causing people to get sicker? So, fertility, is it something that because we are a significantly, like as a population, we have grown as humans to where the likelihood of there being infertile people is greater? Is it being diagnosed more? Or is our lifestyle, along with environmental issues, causing infertility? That question has been plaguing me so much, but before I research into it, I wanted to do as much critical thinking as possible based off those questions, and then see how on the money or totally wrong I was. But personally, I think that on the note of fertility, it is something that is increasing because our food is definitely not the same. Our The way we take care of our bodies is not the same. People don't exercise like they should. Some people are too sedentary. Uh, well, I guess that's the same thing as not exercising so much. Also, we're not mindful about what we're eating. So, living a life that has poor lifestyle choices attached to excess stress is definitely going to make anybody become infertile. So I think that it is definitely something that the environment is triggering. And the environment in this case is not just me referring to like the trees and the water and animals and no, it's what surrounds you and who surrounds you that I want to throw in there. I understand about the bright light. It's kind of simple. Women care more about their careers than being a mother. Freezing eggs has been big. Yeah, I know that more women are becoming career oriented and they're trying to hold more positions, especially positions of leadership. Nothing wrong with that. But what I find about that is that it's kind of concerning because we are not giving our bodies a priority. We're not giving our health a priority. Um, and maybe that's the reason I chickened out from being a competitive person. I just could not imagine myself being happy pursuing a career ambition. I'm just not designed for that, especially if making me happy is very simplistic. I don't need a whole lot. So I cannot get behind the mindset of people aspiring to have a business that, sells a lot of things, or you have the biggest makeup company, or, it's not bad to dream and have goals. I'm just saying that my ambitions never go to that extent. And I don't need to be hell bent on trying to make it work. Even if I were told that I possess all of the tools and the charisma to do such a thing, it doesn't excite me. So I didn't want to be that person who barely spends any time at home because I'm super busy. No, just no. Let's see. Gluten intolerance is not a real thing. As for low fertility rates, richer, better educated people and countries have lower birth rates. Also, I think that having kids this day and age is not as cool anymore. Because let's face it, some people just have it rough. And that you do not want to make your life any more difficult than it already is. And unfortunately, parenting is something that is challenging and demanding. And if you're already a stressed out cookie, why would you want to complicate your life even more? And women, I find that we're trying to take on too many roles now. And I find that we seem to be dying a little younger than we used to. So I don't know. That cannot be an accident. Getting stressed out more. After 28, you have a hard time having children. There is a reason why we are taking a lot of Muslim immigrants because they're the only ones having children. Need workers for the welfare state. That's interesting. Well, guys, I'm about to hit the 45-minute mark. I think I've rambled on enough. I honestly don't have much more to add to any of this, and to be honest with you, I'm falling asleep. So, thank you guys for joining me. It's been great. I hope that you guys have had a good week. Um, but yeah, 4th of July, I thought about doing a stream based on that topic, but I just could not get my mind on it. So I just thought, if I think about something interesting to say, I'll say it. I'll get to it, whether it is on the 10th or whenever. But I really don't have much to say. And I wasn't sure if I had done a fourth topic in the past and I didn't want to be repetitive. But if I don't remember, it probably means that I haven't done it. But, anyways, I thought I would just do something I actually felt like talking about. Bye, Zamri. Nice talking to you. Likewise, likewise. And blessings to you too. All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you soon. Peace.